Welcome, everybody. Let's give it another minute or two, let people join. All right, just for the sake of keeping on schedule, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to the Air Quality in Southeast Asia workshop funded by the Department of State. We'll have about 6 presentations today to get through. And I do have a hard stop at about 1 a.m. my time, but if I have to drop off, one of the other AQSEA members will be able to take it going forward. So first off, we have an introduction to the Department of State program by Adam Ross. Adam.
There we go. I think I'm unmuted now. Let's see here. Great. Well, good morning. Thank you, Ryan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Well, it's a pleasure to join you all this morning. As Ryan said, my name is Adam Ross. I am the director of the State Department's Regional Environmental Hub here in Bangkok, Thailand. We serve as the hub for U.S. State Department environmental engagement across 17 countries, East and Southeast Asia. But again, it's a pleasure to join you today. We've been seeing a lot of interest from our network and our colleagues on air quality challenges across Southeast Asia. So just wanted to start with some introductory comments for you today. And Ryan, it sounds like there's some background noise. Maybe some of your colleagues have their audio on. Maybe we can just mute that just for everyone's
I'm hearing it as well. I think it might be one of the AC Air folks is unmuted.
Okay. Well, I'll jump right in. Air pollution is a cross-cutting global threat to human health, economic development, and environmental quality. And reducing and eliminating pollution while expanding the number of people who can breathe clean air are critical priorities for the United States. We remain committed to advancing global action on air pollution, and that's why we're joining you here today. We know that gaps in data, standards, and practical air quality management guidance are some of the biggest barriers to advancing effective global air pollution management. Despite the availability of low-cost sensors, satellite data, and modeling to inform policymaking, there are many places in the world where data on air quality simply doesn't exist. And it's nearly impossible for policymakers to legislate to reduce air pollution while blindfolded. In late 2022, a study by Global Health Visions in partnership with UNEP and the Clean Air Fund surveyed environmental officials and academics working across 119 countries, and they found less than a third of the countries had successfully implemented air quality monitoring networks or had air quality management strategies. Practitioners cited the lack of technical capacity as one of the greatest challenges faced by air quality management practitioners, second only to insufficient funding. And surprisingly, these technical challenges were reported as bigger barriers than any lack of political support or authority to implement programs. This technical gap is compounded by poor alignment among agencies, institutions, and partners providing air quality management guidance. And individual agencies' fragmented approaches can lead to the unnecessary duplication of resources and at times conflicting information. And the cross-cutting nature of air pollution as a health, environmental, and climate issue means it often falls between the cracks. So to improve the availability and understanding of air quality data, the U.S. State Department has supported the Research Triangle Institute to carry out this building air quality capacity in Southeast Asia activity in collaboration with academic institutions in Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam to deploy a network of low-cost air quality sensors. We look forward to hearing more about the successes and challenges of this activity in furthering both understanding and local capacity in addressing transboundary air pollution. We're especially interested to learn about the connections and gaps between data from various sources, from low-cost sensors to reference-grade monitors, and how this data reaches and informs policymakers. As we all know, without accurate and trusted data and agreed-upon standards, policymakers can't effectively work to mitigate air pollution through legislation or regulation. Challenges like these led the United States to work with partner countries to introduce an air quality resolution at the 6th UN Environment Assembly in Kenya just last month. We were extremely pleased and encouraged that UNEA 6 concluded with a resolution to develop a global knowledge-sharing platform and regional cooperation to tackle air pollution. We welcome this landmark resolution and urge governments to mobilize more funding for this much-needed platform, especially for data collection, and to promote more robust regional coordination. We expect this new global platform will promote regional cooperation to improve air quality, building on the momentum already created by the Regional Action Program on Air Pollution, currently underway at the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, or UNESCAP. To feed into the establishment of a new global UNEP air quality knowledge platform, the U.S. has worked to increase its support for regional resources to improve airsheds. In September 2023, the State Department announced a partnership with ESCAP to launch a project to develop a methodology for improving air quality in airsheds spanning multiple countries. Another U.S. effort to build regional air quality data is our Surveyor Southeast Asia program, which uses satellite data to bridge gaps in terrestrial collection and helps countries understand transboundary air pollution flows in the region. Surveyor Southeast Asia works with governments to improve the accuracy of satellite-based air pollution data by incorporating data from regulatory grade instruments and makes comprehensive air pollution information available to the public. Surveyor is now facilitating a partnership between the Thai and Lao governments to improve air quality management, including data use, community engagement, and policy improvement. And you may have also seen news of a NASA aircraft that flew over Thailand in March in cooperation with NARIT, the National Astronomical Research Institute of Thailand, which worked to analyze and better understand air pollution at various atmospheric levels. With so much work being done to improve regional knowledge, resources, and expertise in air quality management, we're increasingly looking for opportunities to leverage our past work to avoid the duplication of efforts and to build and harmonize communities of practice. More specifically, we're looking for opportunities to grow regional networks like the ones you're a part of here today. We believe regional frameworks like the one established under AQSEA provide a natural mechanism for coordinating donor assistance for air pollution initiatives, ensuring donor resources have the maximum impact in creating sustainable paths to achieving clean air. The State Department has an ongoing program with the World Resources Institute on strengthening air quality communities of practice in Southeast Asia. This project brings together air quality practitioners from Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, working to strengthen air quality forums in that region. WRI's air quality management framework works to strengthen the technical capacity and networks of air quality experts in the target countries, and it also supports the regional sharing of expertise and experience on air quality management, and provides guidance to stakeholders on using existing and previously implemented tools to enhance action on clean air solutions. We now hope to leverage the communities of practice convened by the WRI project as a resource to inform and enhance SCAP's work to develop a methodology for improving air quality in regional airsheds. And we believe these regional communities of practice can contribute to strengthening the dialogue among transboundary airsheds crossing multiple countries. Growing regional communities of practice can also help us adapt developing air quality guidance to local contexts, languages, and capacities. They can help adapt air quality management tools developed for high resource settings for their more effective use in low and middle income countries, where access to equipment or capacity levels may be very different. With this in mind, the US is now looking at opportunities to extend the communities of practice work now being done in Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines into the Mekong subregion, where we can continue our work to build trust in the low-cost sensor network deployed through the AQSEA program, and to help local air quality communities of practice work in greater harmony across projects and countries. All this work, from the UNEA resolution to high-tech satellite data to NASA overflights to building networks for air quality practitioners, is intended to strengthen our collective regional understanding of the importance of air quality and of our effective measures to improve it. We hope our shared efforts to build robust regional networks of air quality practitioners and stakeholders can eventually enable and inform stronger regulation and legislation at the national level across the region. I look forward to hearing more today about all of your work towards the goal of cleaner air for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Back
Adam.
to you.
All right, I'm going to kick this off with my presentation. See if I can get this right on the first try. Everybody seeing the presentation, not the speaker version? Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm going to give a brief overview of what we're calling the AQSEA project for short. The full title of the project's Building Air Quality Monitoring Capacity in Southeast Asia. I will try to keep this relatively short. I want to make sure all of our speakers from Southeast Asia do have enough time for their presentations. And I think, based on looking at who's present in the who's attending, that most of us have already had some background information provided on the project. So just to introduce myself, I'm Ryan Chartier. I've been at RTI International for about 13 years now. Analytical chemist by training, and most of my research has recently focused on direct personal exposure measurements to particulate matter all over the world. I was tangentially involved with this project for the majority of the lifetime of the project. My colleague Prakash was the PI to start the study. I want to say he probably completed 90% of the study, and then for various reasons he had to move on. So just to start, this project is very much a collaboration between RTI and our partners in Southeast Asia, namely AQSEA and ESRC out of Chiang Mai University, the National University of Laos, the Center for Environmental Monitoring and Modeling out of Vietnam. I believe it's the Vietnam National University. And then at NARIT, as Adam had mentioned previously, is the National Astronomical Research Institution of Thailand, I believe is the full acronym. And just a disclaimer, this project was funded by the Department of State, but any opinions or discussions here are my own. Just to start, a big thank you to the AQSEA leadership team. As I mentioned, Prakash was the AQSEA lead for the majority of the study. He is now at WRI in India. So hopefully some of us will be able to collaborate with him again in the future. Somporn was the Thailand lead. Hung, formerly of CEMM, was the lead in Vietnam. Kio's the Lao lead, and then Ron was our collaborator at NARIT, responsible for some of the emissions modeling that took place. So as most of us know, exposure to high levels of air pollution is associated with a number of adverse health outcomes, with it being the fourth largest risk factor for early mortality. And unfortunately, almost 100% of the population in Southeast Asia are exposed to air pollution levels above WHO recommendations. And this results in over 2 million premature deaths. Although this number from WHO does include India and Bangladesh, so it's a little weighted towards them, but I believe the latest numbers I've seen for Southeast Asia is greater than 300,000 premature deaths annually due to exposure to elevated levels of air pollution. And as Adam had mentioned, air quality monitoring is essential to understanding the spatiotemporal trends associated with high levels of air pollution, as well as predicting where that air pollution is going, as it doesn't know borders, and then working to mitigate exposure amongst the population. So some of the main objectives of our AQSEA project were to, one, engage stakeholders from academia, non-governmental organizations, governmental organizations, and then work to build air quality monitoring capacity in Southeast Asia, which included the deployment of low-cost sensors throughout the region. We're also working to expand public awareness and provide educational materials to people to educate them about some of the hazards associated with elevated levels of air pollution. And then our overall goal is just strengthen the air quality monitoring capacity in Southeast Asia, and then expand awareness of the issues associated with air quality. So we've deployed approximately 100 low-cost sensors in Southeast Asia, namely in Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. And the majority of these sensors were purple air PM2.5 monitors sourced from the United States. But we also deployed some dust poi monitors that come from CMU in Thailand. And that allowed us to do some intercomparisons between devices and kind of harmonize some of the data. We have PM2.5 data available. Some of the locations we have starting as early as 2020. And then our last data download was just past January. So when we first started this project, Purple Air data downloads were free and open access. Anybody could go into their system and download air quality data from any of the sensors. That has changed over the course of the project. There's now a paywall up for any non-US deployed sensors. Fortunately, some of those data are still available through other sources, such as AQSEA and OpenAQ, which are continually pulling low-cost sensor data from other locations and then compiling them in their own platforms. And part of the study was calibrating the Purple Air and Dust Poi sensors against a pollution control department reference monitor in Thailand. So we did a long-term co-location deployment, and we used the reference data against the low-cost sensors to develop calibration curves for the low-cost sensors. And then we applied that to all of the Purple Air and Dust Poi sensors that were deployed as part of this project. And so these data are not currently available through any of the online platforms, but I'm happy to provide them upon request. I don't know if you can see my mouse. 1 second. So there was great spatial coverage in Thailand amongst the PCD monitors, as well as the Dust Poi network. Laos and Vietnam had very few low-cost sensors at the beginning of this project. We can see on this plot here, this is a plot of some of the Purple Air sensors we've deployed. So we've worked to fill in some of the spatial gaps in Southeast Asia. And this meeting is rather timely, as Chiang Mai has recently been #1 on the list of worst air quality in the world, according to some metrics. So this top plot up here comes from AQSEA, which is a pretty good platform. If you haven't looked at it, it incorporates low-cost sensor data, meteorological data, as well as data from NASA satellites. So you can see in pseudo real time where there are active fires burning. So if it's difficult to see on here on this map here, but if you zoom in, there are active fires covering most of the Southeast Asia region at currently. So unfortunately, I know you are all experiencing pretty terrible air quality at the moment. So that just helps highlight the need for addressing this, as there's no real good way to mitigate it on the personal level at the moment. This bottom figure on the bottom right is from the purple air map. And so you can't really see the numbers, but I think most of us are familiar with the color codes of the US Air Quality Index. And so you can see lots of reds and purples. And I believe when I last checked the website, Hanoi had made it onto the top 10 list as well, unfortunately. So all of these sensors are active, they're up and running. The data are available for people to use. Even though this project is ending, the sensors are going to remain deployed and active for as long as we can maintain them. And we're happy to hand over maintenance to other folks as well if there are projects that could utilize these sensors. Being in the US, there's not much I can do to upkeep these sensors. But that maybe that's part of a larger discussion for later on. Part of the project is also engaging with stakeholders. So the AQSEA team, specifically the country leads, have held a number of meetings, attended conferences and workshops to help educate various stakeholders and network with other researchers interested in addressing air quality in Southeast Asia. We've also developed some educational materials. Over on the right here, you can see this is a pamphlet we developed with some educational information, just giving background information on what is air pollution, what are the components that we care about, what are the sources, and some actionable steps that people can take to reduce their exposures. We've also developed 2 educational videos. I believe we may be viewing one of these as part of the meeting. All of these materials are freely available. If they're useful to you, please feel free to download the YouTube videos, send out links, post to your social media. Just use them as part of your arsenal of educational materials when discussing air quality with various stakeholders. And I do believe there is an air quality awareness week coming up in May. So if these materials would be useful in any way, shape, or form to support any efforts you may have ongoing during the Air Quality Awareness Week, please reach out. So in today's workshop, I think I mentioned this earlier, but we have 6 presentations planned. We'll have at least 1 presentation from each of our partner countries, Laos, PDR, Vietnam, and Thailand. The presentations will last for about 15 minutes with 5 minutes for questions. I know generally presentations tend to go over the allotted time limit. We'll try to keep on schedule as best we can, but I don't plan to cut anybody off if there's a valuable discussion going on. The presentations will be in English, just for simplicity, but any of the attendees feel free to ask questions in your native language, and somebody will translate that prior to the presenter answering. I do plan to send out a list of attendees for networking purposes. If you're interested in being on that email list at some point during the workshop, please put your name, institute, title, and email address into the chat. I'm not going to use the registry. So if you're on the registry, you registered for this workshop and don't want to be included, then just don't enter your email into the chat. We'll solely use what's on the chat. So what I'm hoping to get out of this workshop, we're going to highlight some of the ongoing air quality work from our colleagues in Southeast Asia. That way everybody's aware of some of the ongoing research in the area, and then we can hopefully network either towards the end of the workshop or offline as needed. I think it's an important forum. We can have some open discussions about air quality in Southeast Asia and suggestions for steps to address some of these issues. The discussions are going to be towards the end of the workshop. So let's try to keep any questions related to the specific presentations for now, and then we'll have more of a roundtable open discussion towards the end of the workshop. As I mentioned, networking amongst the various researchers on the call, both during the workshop now and then offline following the workshop, is important, and I'm happy to facilitate any of those conversations going forward. I may not be part of those conversations just due to the time differences, but I'm happy to put various people in contact with other attendees. It's a quick overview of the agenda we have. I'm going to wrap up in the next minute or two, and then I believe CMU is going to show one of the educational videos that they helped develop as part of this project. And then we'll continue with Matt Perkins with the next presentation. The last 30 minutes or so, if we're on schedule, will be kind of an open-ended discussion. I have some pre-planned questions to start us off, but as I had mentioned previously, I have an appointment at about 6 a.m. my time, so I'm going to try to hop off this call at about 1 a.m. just so I can hopefully get a couple hours of sleep before I start my day. But Samporn or one of my other AQC colleagues will be able to run the discussions if I need to leave. And then before we hop into the presentations, a big thank you to the State Department, one for their funding, but all of the support they've provided throughout the course of this project. There have been multiple people involved, but I'll just say thank you to State Department staff as well as the other grantees working in this area. They've been very helpful and accommodating as well with any questions. The AQC team. So I introduced some of the country leads, but they didn't work in a vacuum. They have their teams that helped out with everything from logistics to deployment of sensors, which is not a trivial task in some of the locations where we deployed sensors. They're very remote, so it was a very time-consuming process. And then thank you in advance to all the attendees. Please, if you can, try to be an active participant in the discussions. I think the more people involved in the discussions, the better information we'll be able to have to help formulate plans for moving forward. And don't hesitate to contact me with any questions. My email address is there, my phone number is there, and if you're on the list of folks willing to communicate via email after the workshop, I'll be CC'd there as well. So we have any questions before we move on to the next section of the workshop? Okay, CMU, did you want to play one of the videos? I believe we were just planning to show one video, correct?
Yeah, sure. We are ready to do that. Just a moment, please.
Clean air is vital for living things around the world, whether it's humans, animals, or plants. However, the air we breathe contains contaminants that can harm our health. The air pollution derives from various sources, including the open burning of agricultural residuals in forests, as well as vehicle exhaust emissions, industrial emissions, and construction activities. One of the air pollutants that can affect human health is PM2.5. PM2.5, or fine inhalable particles with diameters that are generally 2.5 micrometers and smaller. How small is 2.5 micrometers? Imagine about our hair. The average human hair has a diameter of around 70 micrometers, which means it is 30 times bigger than the largest PM 2.5. PM 2.5 can be emitted directly from the source or produced in the air as the result of chemical processes. These PM 2.5 are carried thousands of kilometers by the wind. PM 2.5 particles can enter the lungs and lead to short-term acute health effects, including coughing, asthma, and various respiratory and cardiovascular disorders. Some of these conditions may result in acute effects. Furthermore, long-term chronic exposure to air pollution can increase the risk of serious conditions such as stroke, heart disease, and lung cancer. Therefore, it is crucial to effectively manage air quality at the national, regional, local, and even individual levels to mitigate these risks. Therefore, we started an air quality monitoring capacity in Southeast Asia, or AQSEA, which is funded by the U.S. Department of State in order to support the installation of a well-tested low-cost PM sensor. In 2021, RTI International's research team, in collaboration with Chiang Mai University, Thailand, Research Center for Environmental Monitoring and Modeling Vietnam, and National University of Laos began supporting local stakeholders in installing the low-cost PM sensors in Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos. We aim to develop a network of low-cost PM 2.5 sensors to cover a greater area and also raise awareness and concerns about air pollution at local and regional levels. As a result, the AQSEA project has expanded its network of low-cost PM 2.5 sensors to 3 countries: Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. Such data is beneficial to local stakeholders. For further details about the first workshop and the locations of sensors, along with additional resources, make sure to check out the links provided there. You'll find in-depth information, useful links, and more.
Great. Thank you, Samporn. Nadapan or Samporn, as we're talking, can you drop the YouTube links into the chat just in case people are interested in seeing the videos? I don't think the QR code was up long enough for people to be able to take a picture.
Yeah, sure. And before we start the next sections, could you please download the background zoomed in the chat, and then we will have the group photo together before we start the next sections. All right, and please turn on the camera, and our staff will take a picture for a short minute. All right. And everyone, please turn on the camera. We would like to have some photo together today. Okay, if our staff ready, you can make a sign to take a photo. Right. Okay. The first photo. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Right. And the second one. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Come on, then. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Matt, I think you're up next. What is that? When I was reviewing your slides, I saw you had a few discussion questions or items at the end. Are you planning to stick around for the full workshop, or is that something you'd like to address at the end of your presentation?
Whatever's more suitable from your side. I can do either.
Okay, maybe we can hold off until the discussion section if you're planning to be here. Perfect. Thank you. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. Okay, so thanks everyone for having me here today. I'm really excited to join this workshop. It's great to see some new faces and also folks that we have been working with for some time and be back in this community. I'd like to go through SCAP's activities on air pollution and findings that could help support the work of this group moving forward. Our primary framework as an intergovernmental organization is the Regional Action Program on Air Pollution. We were very excited to have all of our 53 member countries endorse this action program in December of 2022 and provide that regional coordinating instrument among the countries to promote the science-based policy. So I'd like to highlight a couple of ways that that can intersect with the work we're discussing here. We moved directly from signing the agreement to implementation. I've summarized a couple of the events and interventions that we've had since that time. This has included both, high-level political events as well as tangible and local interventions to promote change. Under that umbrella, SCAP is currently coordinating 4 projects that would involve the countries on this call related to air quality. Those obviously have an array of activities associated with them, and we would be very enthusiastic to cooperate with folks on those moving forward. So to frame the discussion today, I've pulled out a couple of insights that we would like to highlight in ways to approach the air pollution problems in Southeast Asia and in these particular countries specifically. As from our prior work, we had built a data warehouse and applied machine learning to data sets in our focus countries. I'd like to pull out these working results that we had for the city of Da Nang, in which we were looking at how to harmonize the readings from the ground-based air pollution sensors in the context of data gaps, calibration, and other components that impact that data. We're able to have highly successful results in adding more insight to the available data in that context. Likewise, we were able to determine that by digging into the existing data in new and different ways, that meaningful insight could also be obtained for driving forward with interventions. Here's 2 examples of that. The top graph is one that I think folks would be intuitively quite familiar with. It's just a raw count of remote sensing detected hotspots, annual average for the last 15 years, represented by month. So this well captures the kind of seasonal variances that we typically see among the countries in Southeast Asia and their approaches to biomass burning. In this context, examining the data not just from a count of the total number, but also from an understanding of the size of the individual fires brought new perspectives to where to focus action. As in some countries, it's quite clear that they may have a certain number of biomass burning sites, but they may be much smaller. This is very helpful in understanding how to target interventions for total impact. Additionally, by looking at patternicity for where fires are occurring at the same location repeatedly across multiple seasons helps zero in on distinguishing the difference between man-made fires and fires that may be naturally occurring wildfires, which would obviously benefit from a different type of intervention. So these are all new and helpful perspectives that can come from the same data sets by applying new data science techniques to understanding the situation. Likewise, we note that this approach is becoming much more necessary. An increasing use of machine learning and advanced data science techniques in these applications can be seen across projects and interventions. The particular example that I have on the screen now is related to dealing with remote sensing data from the GEMS satellite platform in order to obtain near real-time air pollution data throughout Southeast Asia. So the need to move towards and mainstream data science and machine learning in air pollution work is more clear than ever before. In this regard, we assisted a number of cities in Southeast Asia in creating data-driven city-level air pollution action plans, including Chiang Mai. In a number of those cases, we held on-the-ground workshops and coordinated with the beneficiaries and stakeholders there, some of which are on this call now, in order to help focus the science into action locally. In terms of potential opportunities that this organization of this group of people may be most interested in, I'd like to highlight these results from one of SCAP's partners, ADPC, that are supporting the Severe Mekong intervention that was mentioned previously. We were very enthusiastic to see the results of their innovative work here in combining remote sensing data with specific types of research-grade ground instruments to determine the viability of the available data on particularly PM 2.5. In that context, we considered their results to be extremely encouraging, being able to demonstrate reliability through R-squared values of between 0.82 and 0.89, particularly for an area of the globe that has comparatively fewer research-grade sensors. We were very encouraged by this result and believe it will be very helpful in moving forward to action in these countries as we move forward. So I wanted to highlight this as a particularly useful tool that the participants in this call may be interested in. So in terms of this section of my presentation, these are the three real takeaways that we would like to underline. The need for the machine learning data science approach to the data sets that we're dealing with in Southeast Asia. The need to understand the full data lifecycle of where machine learning is coming into play by third parties and the data that they're providing, and to highlight that we really do have policy relevant action-oriented conclusions that can be drawn from this data if we use these methodologies to examine what we have. And in that regard, I would like to sort of respond to something that Ryan had highlighted earlier. We really do feel that the sustainability of low-cost sensor networks is an important component. We know that our colleagues at CMU and CMRU have been very involved in that. I think there would be a real opportunity here for SCAP to be able to help support the sustainability of those sensor networks, as well as preserve and keep alive the data and data sharing there. So I hope that we could have a two-way or potentially three-way conversation after this to discuss some tangible options for taking forward the important work that your intervention has done so far. So with that being said, I'd like to highlight a couple of areas that we feel are opportunities for emerging perspectives on the next steps for air pollution in these countries. In particularly, we've been impressed by work on socially differentiated policy impact. I've extracted a couple of examples here from this recently published study on the need to combine the machine and data side of air pollution science with the way it's impacting people on the ground, particularly in the prism of vulnerable populations, people struggling with poverty, and so forth, which of course would be directly relevant to the human impact of what we've been seeing in the data so far. So in this regard, I'd like to highlight that one of the particular dimensions where this aspect shows very clearly is in the need to understand how policies around clean cooking and clean vehicles affect people at different parts of the income structure, and that in some cases these policy interventions can actually be quite harmful depending on the total intersectional picture of the people who are being impacted on the ground. So in the interests of time, I'll just highlight that SCAP is moving forward with mainstreaming a socially differentiated approach to air pollution policy action, and has done a preliminary data inventory of all of the countries in our definition of Asia and the Pacific that make this data available. It appears to us that Vietnam, for example, does publish the household income data necessary to support this type of analysis. In the case of Laos, we were able to identify some of the data sets necessary, but not all, and would hope to continue to cooperate with the people on this call moving forward to make sure that we really can have that kind of analysis to make sure our policy interventions are well-founded. So I think illustrating some of the harmonies and perspective that we're seeing in the different actors, I would like to highlight a couple of points in this regard. One being the need to move away from a geographic boundaries, political boundaries perspective and towards an airsheds perspective to emphasize the shared code benefits approach and really take a very science-centric approach to understanding where are the emissions coming from, where are they going, and who are they impacting. And we're pleased to see more and more uptake of this type of perspective among policymakers in the region. We're very hopeful that scientific experts such as yourselves can play a vital role in helping to reorient people's thinking around the need to cooperate in airsheds rather than looking at a line on a map. In this regard, here's kind of an example of some things happening in the region. This particular one from India, which we think is very valuable because it is taking this airsheds approach. As you can see in the lower right-hand section, they're tracking incoming emissions from other urban centers that share the airshed of this particular city. So the science here is really what we think is leading the way. And I think we all have some thinking to do around how this information is represented and shared in order for it to be persuasive and really prompt action. So we do see local action in the region that we think can be mutually beneficial across the countries in Southeast Asia. I noted that Adam mentioned this intervention. I would also like to highlight it. I think it's a great case study in international cooperation on advancing air pollution science. This particular mission, which I think gives us some great insight into how the airshed in this area is performing, is quite valuable, and we look forward to analyzing the data from that. This type of cooperation is something that SCAP really wants to support moving forward. I'd also like to highlight this example of how this model has been successfully deployed elsewhere for consideration in the airsheds we're dealing with, which highlights how the thinking moved from political boundaries to scientifically created perspective of the airsheds, and then overlaid with the human needs of the vulnerable populations in those areas. We feel strongly that this process to combining airshed science with social impact is really the way forward. Most recently, we were impressed with this published scholarship, which gives a great breakdown of how to apply an airsheds-centric perspective in both data-rich and developing country environments. SCAP expects to use this type of scholarship as a keystone in moving forward with our future interventions in the SCAP region. In that regard, I'd like to briefly highlight these particular priorities that we would like to move forward with in Southeast Asia. The project that we will be implementing on airsheds contains several key components. We would like to be working directly with 3 multi-country airsheds in Southeast Asia. I'm happy to confirm that our official letter seeking expressions of interest from the pertinent ministries of environment has already been sent out. We've received a number of responses and we'll be following up with a couple of the other countries in Southeast Asia. I think at this stage, I have to be a bit strategically ambiguous until agreements are officially signed, but several of the countries in this room have expressed interest and a few have not. So we would like to be able to work with all of you to encourage your policymakers to participate in this project. It has a strong data sharing component, the drafting of airshed cooperation agreements, and key things that we think will really move things forward, as well as providing resources, financial resources for countries to implement their air pollution priority interventions throughout the 3-year project term. So with that being said, I'd like to also highlight some of the related matters that SCAP has coming up for everyone's awareness. We are currently supporting 2 open-ended working groups on air quality standards and one on data. This is the schedule of meetings for those working groups. Those are open for the participation of all of the persons on this call. If you would like to participate and receive an invitation to that, please let me know and we'll be happy to loop you in on that. The recommendations from these working groups will form a policy paper that will be sent to our member countries this fall for their consideration in informing their future action. So we hope that we can continue to work with you folks on the working groups and other related interventions. We also are producing a number of studies and upcoming events that we would love to be able to collaborate with you on. So in light of the time, I'll leave it there, but look forward to a lively and fruitful discussion as we move forward today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Are there any questions? I have a question. Maybe hypothetical, but I like the Airsheds approach. I think it's been successful in the past and can be successful here. You mentioned providing funding to the participating countries. How would that be divvied up? Would it be by the area of greatest need or the potential for the greatest improvements in health? Or would funding be prioritized for the areas where a decrease in air pollution is most achievable, or some combination of all of the above? You're muted, Matt.
Drink. Some combination. We have a set of selection criteria, which I'd be happy to go over. I don't think I can necessarily do it within the available time, but we have a basket of indicators that we use to focus that funding. And that will be done in a dialogue with the beneficiary countries as we move forward.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody else at this point? Okay. Thank you, Matthew. It sounds like you would benefit from an email list of the attendees here for communicating with further. So just a reminder, anybody who's willing to be on that email list, please put your information into the chat. Samporn, I think you are next.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Let me share my screen. Okay, did you see it? Right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Somporn Jantara from Chiang Mai University. My talk today entitled The Research Activities and Academic Services Concerning Air Pollution in Northern Thailand. So I think most of you know that at this time, it's a peak for the air pollution in Southeast Asia, particularly in the upper part of the region. So this picture can give you an overview about how bad the air pollution can be in this region. And this video also shows the bird's eye view of Chiang Mai city on 15th of February on the plane on the way from Chiang Mai to Bangkok. We can see very clearly the difference between the air inside the basin and the above. Normally, we have a very nice view from the top of the mountain, like you can see in the left-hand side. But in this season, we cannot avoid it. It still happens from year to year. And this is data from Pollution Control Department and Quality Monitoring Station in Chiang Mai City. It's showing average 24-hour PM2.5 concentrations in Chiang Mai City. And the data was starting from 2018 to now. So you can see that every dry season from February to April, we still have very high concentration of PM2.5 in Chiang Mai City, and it's much higher than the national standard. Nowadays, we use 37.5 microgram per cubic meter. The highest concentration was found last year in 2023. And for this year, it's still on the way to go. So the data I have now is over 150 microgram per cubic meter for their daily average concentration. And from this slide, you can see the transboundary air pollution, the distribution of PM2.5 generated from the active fire hotspots using the WRF-Chem model run by Dr. Chakrit, one of my colleagues at CMU. So as Matthew already mentioned about the air-shared approach, I think from this slide, we can see very clearly why we have to work together to solve the problem, because even the source of the air pollution are generated in another places, but you still can get the impact from that because of the air has no boundary. So this show the data from 2021, but it's almost the same for every year. More data on 5 hotspots in Southeast Asia. So I highlight 5 countries in this graph, including Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Myanmar. So each year we also have the same problem with the air pollution because of the open burning. The red color you see in the map is the active fire hotspots we detected from the satellite, from the VIA system. So each year we have less burning. Some year we have more burning. It depends on the climate condition as well. For example, El Niño year or La Niña year with more rain or less rain. And this is the data of the active fire counts from 2018 again until now. But this year we have the data only up to 14 March. So you can see that most of the burning occur in Myanmar and also in Thailand and Laos. So we have to figure this out. For this year, air pollution in Chiang Mai City, we also collect the PM samples every year. And I would like to show to you how it changed from the 1st of February this year until the 7th of March. So you can see the change of the sky and also the colors of the samples. So we collect the samples and we can differentiate it from the darker of the black color here. So it's starting from very low concentration, like 15 microgram per cubic meter, up to the very high 122 microgram per cubic meter of PM2.5 concentrations. So we come up with the summarize that the factors that are affecting the air pollution in northern Thailand can be these 3 main factors. The first one is the geography, because our location is surrounded by high mountain. So most of the cities in northern Thailand are located in the basin. So this flavor to the pollutants to accumulated in the basin. The second factor is also the natural one, which is the meteorological factors. For example, wind, rain, temperature inversion. So these factors can also cause the serious air pollution if we have high pollutants in the area. And the last factor is the source of air pollution. The most important source in our region is the open biomass burning. Even though in the big city, we also have the problem of the transportation, which emits also amount of air pollution. But this factor can be controlled. And we think that if we are focusing on the source control, it will be better in the future. Talking about the AQSEA activities, as Ryan already mentioned about the objectives of that of the project, for us, I think that the most effective way is to train and to educate the stakeholders and help to build the capacity in air quality management. We also apply the low-cost sensors that we obtained from the US, the Purple Air, and the one that we have in Thailand originate from Chiang Mai University, the Dust Boy, which have more locations in Thailand. So from this, we can also obtain valuable data. And this is our Chiang Mai University team. Myself, Dr. Seth, Dr. Wan, Dr. Natipon, Dr. Ponpat, and our supporting team, Ms. Pichamon, Dr. Haisam, and Ms. Yosaya. We have launched the project in 2021, and we have lots of activities after that. This is some of activities that I would like to show. The exhibition that we launched during the TEDx Chiang Mai event in November 2021 at the Chiang Mai. So we also we have lots of visitors, and one of that is Mr. Sean O'Neill, the late Consul General from the U.S. Consulate in Chiang Mai. We also join many seminars, and this is one of them. The seminar and exhibition organized by the Northern Breast Council during March 2022 in Chiang Mai as well. And this one is the activities in Chiang Mai exhibition on an event sharing the Thailand-US experiences, a path to cleaner air and healthier communities, 5 ways to develop clean air between Thailand and the US, co-hosted by the USAID Mekong for Future program. And the major organizer is the US Consulate in Chiang Mai. So I myself and Dr. Seth also give a lecture on the source of the air pollution in northern Thailand. And another event, we have several meetings with Dr. Ivan Bing, the US Fellow and representative from the US Embassy in Bangkok and the US Consulate in Chiang Mai. In December 2022, in March 2023, and also I have a chance to meet with the Deputy Director, Ms. Sarah Quincio, from the US Embassy in Bangkok, and the team in August 2023. So we have discussion major on the air pollution in the region and how our activities can support the governor to manage the air quality. And these are some of the examples that we have in our project, like the AQSEA brochure for the introduction part and the educational material, as Ryan already mentioned in his talk. And now let's move to the research activities at CMU. So we have the air quality monitoring station at the rooftop of our building here inside the CMU. So we can observe the changing of the sky by taking some pictures, and we also collect the samples, like the PM samples, using the several equipment. For example, these are our samples that we have every year using the high volume air sampler, low volume or mini volume air samplers. We also collect the size fractionated PM samples using the cascade impactor. So these are the examples of our samples before we do the analysis further in the lab and assess the health impact and also the impact on the environment. For the activities and community-based projects, we have some projects to show to you as well. So we have several meetings with the Permanent Secretary of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation, and the Committee of the National Research Council of Thailand, and also the Office of the Public Sector Development Commission on Air Pollution Management. So they come to visit us at Chiang Mai University, and we show them our facilities and our past research projects and also the ongoing projects. I also have a chance to meet with the Prime Minister of Thailand 2 times. In November last year, I did the presentation about the activities of CMU and supporting role to Chiang Mai governor and stakeholders on air pollution management. And just the current one in March. So I present on the situation and source of air pollution in northern Thailand and possible solutions to the Prime Minister. So I hope that our work can also support and help the way to solve the problem in the near future. We also have some communication channel with the stakeholder using the Line official because it's quite popular in Thailand. So that's why we come up with this option. So if you add friend with us, so you can check the air quality in your area by sharing the location. And importantly, you can also check the air quality in advance, like the forecast for the next few days. So it's quite easy to use and it's very informative. You can also find a safe zone that you can stay during the way that you want to go out and spend some days. We also have the project so-called CMU model. This project is the initiative project to reduce the PM 2.5 emission from open burning for sustainable development goals at Patungam village in Chiang Mai province. The objectives of the project are to improve the quality of life of the people, to reduce the open burning, and to prevent the health impact of the people. And last but not least, to create a prototype area for sustainable communities. So we have done lots of sub-projects in the village together with the people in the village. For example, we have 4 types of projects under the economic and quality of life development, environment, public utility, social, and public health. So the project was launched already 3 years, and we already finished the project. And we hope that we can continue this kind of project in the next area. But the question still remains, if we already done enough, we missing something, and what else should be done? And this is my last slide. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Somporn. Great talk. Does anybody have any questions? I have a couple. One, I see you're collecting the PM on filters. It looked like, was it quartz filters? I'm curious, what are you analyzing for, PAHs or something similar? And how does the chemistry change depending on where you are in the burn season? And then my second question is more related to me being naive about this area of the world, having not been there. But in general, what do people do to protect themselves during haze season from the PM? I know some people work in office buildings, they may have filtered air, but in general, I'm guessing that's not the case for most people. What steps do they take to protect themselves from air pollution, and what steps would you recommend?
Yeah. Okay, for the first question about what we are analyzing our samples. So we have lots of parameters for analysis of our samples. For example, the PAH for the health risk assessment. And we also do the source analysis by analyzing water soluble ions, OC and EC, using the carbon analyzer, heavy metals. So these kind of parameters can be used for source analysis. Yeah. And for the second question, how do people protect themselves during the air pollution episode? So actually, I did not mention our activities. We also produce the PM 2.5 mask that can be useful for the people that living outside. So they should wear the mask to protect themselves when they are outside. But inside the house, we also have some kind of technology like filter the air inside the house and use the positive air to help decreasing the level of pollution inside the house. And the government also try to help. For example, in Chiang Mai province, we also have the project so-called reduction of the dust. That means we try to increase the number of houses or the rooms in the public space to equip with the equipment that can filter the air and do the pressure, positive pressure room. So that's for helping.
Thank you. Yes, I know that haze season, it can be a problem. And here in the US, when there's wildfires, I know when the smoke gets in homes, it actually lands on surfaces due to the high surface area in the homes. Then it can undergo heterogeneous reactions, and you're still being exposed to the smoke, or one of the products of the smoke for weeks and weeks after the event. So I imagine that's also an issue here following haze season. Be curious to see if there's research in that area at some point. But it looks like, Matthew, you have a question.
Yes.
You're muted if you're speaking.
Thanks. Yes, there's lag getting unmuted. I do a couple of questions. Great to see you, Dr. Somporn. And kind of adjacent to what we've discussed here, in terms of the future needs, I think we've had in the last couple of years significant resources identified for installing low-cost sensors that generally will track PM 2.5 and a handful of other compounds. At this stage, looking at the map, it suggests to me that particularly for Thailand and potentially for its neighbors as well, that low-cost sensors would no longer be a top priority for answering the most important scientific questions. I would suspect in the alternative that looking at things like heavy metal deposition or more detail on the composition of the PM 2.5 compounds themselves and whether or not carcinogens are hitching a ride there due to previous types of pesticides and things like this, that we need more deep scientific insight rather than broad low-cost sensors. So if you could share your views on that, that would be great. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Matthew. So as you mentioned, yes, we have lots of low-cost sensor, but for the detail of what are inside the PM, for example, is still needed. For example, in some countries, there's still not many publication or knowledge about that. In Northern Thailand, we do have some research published in international level, so it's not that hard to find, but we still have to explore many topics. So I always talk to my colleagues that we still have to follow many lead countries to the deep science. So we still on the progress to develop ourselves, and we still need more funding and also more assistance to help to do this kind of research. For myself, I think we have some results on the source analysis, for example, in Chiang Mai City, but we still have to explore this information for another places. And I do love to cooperate with our colleagues from another countries to expand our research network. And I can send some of my research paper to you if you like to have some specific titles on that. Please let me know. Thank you.
So important. Does PCD do chemical speciation of any of their collection sites, or is it mostly academic institutes that are this falls among?
Yeah, most the universities are taking care of that. I mean, it's research based.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions before we move on? Okay,
Matthew,
why don't
you
we,
have another question or we just,
I think his hand's still
Okay.
up. So we'll move on to our second presentation from Thailand.
thank you. Natipon, you are mute.
Oh, yes, just a moment, please. I'm not done. All right, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. I am Natipon Yatbung from Chiang Mai University. Actually, we are the same team with Dr. Sompon. Today, I would like to present and share some data about the health impacts in the topics of the associations of air pollutants and hospital admission in Chiang Mai, Thailand, which is quite specific with the health. So, all right. Okay, just talk a little bit on the situations of air pollution in northern Thailand. Actually, Dr. Sampon have said before, this is the pattern of the Delhi PM 2.5 only in Chiang Mai city. We got the data from the Pollution Control Department at Chiang Mai for many years since 2012. And this is the pattern. You can see the high peaks of the PM 2.5 concentrations were found during the dry seasons in Thailand during February, March, and April every year. And every year, the concentrations of PM 2.5 are almost exceeded than the National Air Quality Standard of Thailand at 50 microgram per cubic meter, which is the old one. And since the WHO guideline just rewinds the guideline of air pollution of the PM 2.5 guideline here, they reduced to 15 microgram per cubic meter last year in Thailand. We also adjust the NAAQS in Thailand reduced to 37.5 microgram per cubic meter, and you can see it's still higher than the new standard, right? And this one is the things that organizations can find out. We call it key facts by WHO. Like Ryan say in the presentation, we found each year 7 million early death result from the air pollution, with many diseases here. So with the heart disease around 34%, pneumonia around 21%, and also the stroke stroke, and also the COPD, which is about the lung disease, and also lung cancer here. And unfortunately, around 4.2 million premature deaths worldwide due to the outdoor air pollution exposures. And that's why we are interested in the impacts of the air pollution on health. And for this one, in Thailand, also we try to concern about this impact. So these informations I got from the Ministry of Public Health. They focus on the surveillance of the disease caused by the PM 2.5. They just classified into 4 disease group, like a respiratory disease, heart disease, and stroke, conjunctivitis, and also dermatitis. These 4 groups here. And then we have a study sites which collect the PM 2.5 and try to analyze the chemical compounds that specifically for the toxic compound and try to summarize and try to analyze the data together. And I would like to show you the study designs of us. So we have two study designs in Chiang Mai province, which represent the rural area and urban area. So this one we call Chiang Dao. You can see from this picture, it's surrounded by the green and red color, which represent the agricultural fields and also the forest area like this. And this one show you the station that we have, and we also set up our equipment on the top of this the station. And another sign in Chiang Mai city, which represent the city area, and you can see it's surrounded by the red color, which represent the urban development. And also we also have the mountain area beside here. And this is our stations at the meteorological center in Chiang Mai, near the Chiang Mai airport. Here we set up the same equipment and we collect the samples. And this compound that we focus more, we call the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, or PAH, which are the products from incomplete combustions. And we found some of them are the carcinogenic group. So this one classified by the International Agency of the Research on Cancer. For example, here, benzoethylene, this one was classified in group 1 carcinogenic to human, and they also have many compounds that have a potential for the cancer development. So that's why we try to analyze this compound. And for briefly result that we got, this is our sample. We correct PM 2.5 sample. So this one represent like a heavy PM 2.5, and this one like normal situations. And for the urban area and also rural area, we can see the same trend. The line graph represent PM 2.5, which correlates with the bar graph, which represent PAH for both urban area and rural area. And surprisingly, more than 70% was accounted for the carcinogenic PAH for both sides. So that's why we quite interested on this point. And based on health risk assessment from the PAH concentration, it just we can come up with this result by calculation. So we can see the PM 2.5 here, and we found like PAH was higher in the rural area, around 2 times higher than the urban area, right? And then after we calculate, we can identify like in the rural area have a high risk, while in the urban area we can classify as the medium risk here. It is the result from the PAH concentration only, but moreover, we also have a collaborate with the Department of Disease Control, Ministry of Public Health. We can get the data from the hospital admissions. And this graph will show you the number of inpatient with the COPD and asthma. This disease already focused disease in Thailand as well. And this graph will show the bar graph. We have 2 colors. The blue one represents male and the pink one represents female. You can see the peak of the number of the inpatients here every year like this, which is the same trend with the PM 2.5 concentrations in the line graph here every year around January, February and March around here every single year. So this one is quite interesting. So that's why we try to find a correlation between number of inpatients and PM 2.5 concentrations. We can see the medium correlation for both male and female around 0.5 here. And when we try to analyze our data, I mean the toxic compound PAH, PM2.5 and hospital admissions, we can see the trend actually. So even we have the less data of the toxic compound, but we still can see the trend around here. If the high of PM2.5 and also high of the PAH will fall around here, we can see the total impartial also high as well around this time. This one for the urban Chiang Mai. And for the rural Chiang Mai, at Chiang Dao, we also have the data from the hospital admission at Chiang Dao hospital as well. But unluckily, we don't have PM2.5 data, like real-time PM2.5 data at that area. But anyway, we can see the trend. And if you look at the highlight here, the yellow highlight, I will highlight the trend, like we can find a peak around here during dry seasons every year, like this. So the number as depends on each year, but we can see the same peak in the same periods of time by the respiratory diseases in the rural area of Chiang Mai. And yeah, the same, we can find like, so for this one, it's not really clear that much. So we can find the high peaks of the total impartial here and the carcinogenic PAH or the toxic compound also high, but around this time, we still in the process of discussion here, right? And for the nearly last presentation, I just got the information from the public health, Ministry of Public Health, that provide approach to prevent and address the health issue related to the air pollution. That means they also concerned about this issue.
Seems like the internet is broken.
Yeah, I think she froze.
The risk group, like the children, pregnancy individuals, and elder with some disease. Yeah. So this one is a full policy that they provide, which related to the levels of the PM2.5. For example, if the daily PM2.5 less than our national air quality standard at 37.5 microgram per cubic meter, they will launch this policy just promote to reductions of the air pollutants through the effective communication. Once, if the PM2.5 higher than 250 microgram per cubic meter, they focus more on the proactive operations, maybe enhance the management efficiency, lots of things around that. Yeah. And I think this is all for my presentation. Thank you for your attention. So if you have any questions or anything to share, please let me know.
Very interesting. Thank you. Yeah, your incremental lifetime cancer risk numbers are quite high for ambient air.
Yeah.
They can get a lot higher for indoor and personal exposures, but for ambient, that's quite high. And it's probably underestimating the actual cancer risk because there's quite a few additional PAHs that are carcinogenic that weren't on your list. And then on top of that, you have to consider the dermal and ingestion exposure too of particulate matter landing on skin and dust and getting in food. So it's quite high, unfortunately. Do you have any hypotheses for why it's higher in the rural areas? Is it just proximity to where the burning occurs, or is there a cook stove component that may play into that? Any thoughts along those lines?
Yes, if you look at our area is here, and my opinion, I think in the rural area here is located near the area that can have the open burning, so that's why it's more near source. So that may influence on the concentrations of PM 2.5 and also the chemical composite. So that's why during the smoke hits seasons or during the dry season, we can find high concentrations of pollutants in the rural area more than the urban area. But in we can find like another work we can find like during non-smoking period. In the urban area also get higher pollutants than the rural area.
And are you looking at any other, or doing any other compositional analyses of the PM to look at metals or anything like that? Because I do have a feeling that oxidative potential may end up being a more useful metric than just PM mass going forward. So I'm curious if you've looked at metals, because those are going to increase the oxidative potential of the PM. And then I think Matthew has a question.
Yes.
Okay. Sure, thanks very much. A couple of things I wanted to check in with you with. We had also done an evaluation of the health data from the ministry, and there were a couple of findings that I was hoping to get your views on. One of those was that particularly when viewing acute effects, what admissions are we seeing in close association with a spike? Our results were very similar to yours.
Sorry, Matthew, can you please ask me again? I think my internet it's not work very well.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, yes.
I wanted to ask about the difference between acute conditions and time-lagged impacts. One of the things that we had seen was particularly when looking at birth defects of children born to mothers who were pregnant during the peak burning season were significantly higher, particularly around nervous system birth defects and negative health impacts from intrauterine hypoxia, low oxygen in the womb, which we felt was a very important gender component, but also a key health impact of the peak season that is not necessarily captured if we're focusing specifically on the acute conditions. So I'd like to check if your research has shown similar findings, or if you believe that is not the case, or any views you might have on that one. Also, with the urban-rural exposure for northern Thailand, we found that there was a significant impact for occupational exposure. The probabilities of people who work directly in the agricultural sector, for example, had much higher exposure than people who would work, for example, in the city in the hospitality sector for obvious reasons. And we found this to be a very important component in the data model. So if you had any thoughts on those 2 points, I'd also love to just talk to you for about a day and a half about this stuff. It's really important, but I'll leave it to those 2 for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So actually, as I understand for your point, for the women that have a pregnancy, of course, PM 2.5 air pollution, let's say air pollutants can have the impacts on the baby inside as well, in terms of the development and also the width as well. And for another point, sorry, I cannot capture that one.
This is on the importance of occupational exposure in modeling the health impacts in urban and rural areas.
Sure. In my experience, where the people who work outside also have the high risks than the people that work, inside or indoor, if office, because they may have the risk the chance to expose with the PM 2.5 or the chance that exposed to the air pollutant outside more than the people that work in the indoor. Yet I think it is the interesting point that we can discuss further. So right now I would say this one I just start to analyze the data, and we also have planned to analyze in more detail. It's not only the pollutant, and we also would like to expand to analyze the meteorological parameters that can impact on this kind of disease, especially in the dry season, which is the summer in Thailand. So we can find the different between minimum and maximum temperature have some correlate with the impartial numbers as well. So this might be another factors that we can discuss in further.
Great, thank you. Sounds like we have a few things to follow up on after the meeting. Surprisingly, we're within 5 minutes of our target time, so we have a scheduled 5-minute break.
Yep.
If folks want to just step away for a couple minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll start on the presentations from Vietnam.
Yeah, Ryan, how can I share my slide? I need to send to the organizer, or I can share from my screen.
So you
Yeah,
can
you-
start by yourself, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, let's meet back in 5 minutes.
Hi, Nutipong. And Sampon, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay.
Hung, you're showing up with my name.
Oh my gosh, how can I make that?
I think it's fine. It must have been you clicked on the link that I used after I registered and somehow it gave you my name. That's funny. I haven't seen that happen before.
Let I try to change your name, okay?
Sure.
Yes, let's go.
Let's wait
yeah.
one more minute, Hung, just so it's a full 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's fine. I just test the thing. And after my presentation, Hồng will make a sample of application.
All right, Hung, do you want to kick us off for the Vietnam presentations whenever you're ready?
Yes.
Or I think on the agenda, Hung, you were scheduled to go first, but it looks like Hung has his presentation already up. Is that okay with you? Or
I talked to Hồng already, and I will make it first.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. And can you see the slide that move with me?
Yeah, I can see your mouse. Is that what you're?
Yeah. So the slide run?
Yep.
Okay, super. Yeah, I'm ready. So we will find another chance to visit Chiang Mai for another workshop on the regional, huh? Some point I willing to go and I can pay for myself.
Sure, you are welcome.
All
right, Hung, whenever you're ready, I think.
Yeah. So we should start. So thank you very much, Ryan and RTI and other colleagues that have a chance to discuss today with the final result of the project of air quality management by using the low-cost sensor in Southeast Asia. We have been together for 3 years already. And yes, today I just present a quick perspective of the air quality management in Hanoi, Vietnam, and also the potential application of low-cost sensor. And after my presentation, Hồng will present how it can apply for health analysis as an example. So my presentation just have the current status of air quality in Hanoi, the low-cost sensor that we have been doing together, and the application of low-cost sensor in Hanoi. So yeah, you already noticed that the current status of air quality in Hanoi is quite bad. We one of the worst city for the air quality index. And yeah, you can see here some parameter of the air quality in Vietnam and in Hanoi for the recent year. And yeah, almost of the index is over the quality. And the main pollutant is PM2.10 and PM2.5. And yeah, it reached over the World Health Organization standard quite big. And yeah, yes, it obviously that the air quality in Hanoi it very big challenges. And we have running some modeling to show that the air pollution, particularly in PM2.5, is almost all over the city. And yes, you can see the picture here. that can show the air quality in Hanoi. We need to do more how to keep the air quality in Hanoi in the region qualities compared to the standard, and it's still a lot of things to do for that. And yes, you can see here that the percentage of the daily record at the UFMSC in Hanoi, the day is bad according to the air quality index. It's quite a lot, and we can see here that we need to improve the monitoring and the modeling and the air quality management work. We need to work on that for the better air quality environment in Hanoi. And after the previous 3 years, we have been using the dashboard sensor in Hanoi and by then for all over the country. And we have to collect the data and calibrate and compare with other standard monitoring station in Hanoi. And we can see here clearly that the low-cost sensor have a good advantage because it is affordable and it's cheap and it can install easily, but it also have some disadvantage for the accuracy and the legislation standard that not yet accepted the low-cost sensor. So for the application of low-cost sensor in Hanoi, we saw that it very much potential to apply. You can see here that it's a law that the air quality management must be installed in all over the province in Vietnam. It's a law, but the traditional standard monitoring station it is too expensive, and the operational cost it also a lot. And sometimes with the international funded project, we have some monitoring station installed, but how to keep it on good operation and maintenance it also a big challenge. On that scale, I think that the low-cost sensor will have a good opportunity to apply, especially in Vietnam or other developing country. And you can see here that our dashboard sensor and some sensor from Thailand also installed in the system, and it collects the data for all over Vietnam and also other country. And at least we have the measurement data. And how the measurement data is good, we need to work on that. Maybe we can compare with other standard traditional station, and they can calibrate, certify each other. And in here that we can see that the collaboration between the government in the region and the local community and the advanced technology like dashboard sensor from US is a key element that we can create a good air quality management system in Vietnam. The pilot project conducted by Sam and other colleagues in Thailand, Laos, with supporting from RTI, it is very good that we can see obviously that the low-cost sensor applicable for the monitoring system. Yeah, once again, I emphasize that I just want to say that in Vietnam, the low-cost sensor is not legally allowed to provide the data for the management system. But I think that in the coming time, we will discuss with the local authority and the other scientists that can help for this, because it's only the way that we can build the air quality management. The traditional is too expensive in Vietnam condition. And yes, so In general, I think that the air quality management can use a low-cost sensor in wide range because it's easy to install and it's cheap and it's the maintenance it's less. And we can collaborate and integrate it with the standard station that can help each other. For the local community and the personnel use, I think that is also very good potential that a household and a local community, they can install the low-cost sensor by themselves. And it can provide the information for forecast and real-time prediction, so people can know and adapt with the air quality. So here is my presentation. It's sorry, it's too short, but in conclusion, I think that the low-cost sensor is very much potential to apply in developing country from the perspective of the technology, the management, and the feasible of the finance matter. So thank you for your attention, and I open your floor for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Hung. Yeah, I think before this project, there were very few, if any, low-cost sensors in Vietnam, if I remember correctly. So hopefully you can continue to make use of the sensors you've deployed. Probably not going to be good enough for any kind of policy decisions, but there's at least data available to, researchers and the public, data readily available from the low-cost sensors. Looking at some of the fire maps we saw previously, it looked like at least in northern Vietnam, open burning wasn't as, concentrated in Vietnam as it is in some of the other countries. Are there other sources, maybe specific to Hanoi, that could be targeted for, emissions mitigations, traffic, or something similar that's not related to the agricultural burning? Or do you see a lot of agricultural burning PM coming from other countries into northern Vietnam?
Yes, thank you, Ryan. You're right that we have a big problem with the open burning. And in Hanoi, Sam also conducting a project on the open burning. And I think that the low-cost sensor can apply to measure such kind of data, because otherwise we only have the modeling, the simulation analysis. So if we can have some measurement, timely measurement, it is very much better.
So it sounds like in contrast to what Matthew had said for Thailand, where, the moving forward, it's more of the deep science, understanding the PM and maybe even some of the biological mechanisms by which it affects health. It sounds like in Vietnam, there is a need for these low-cost sensors to supplement the sparse governmental monitors that are available. So hopefully this will continue to be useful for you and your colleagues, Hung.
From the commitment, yes, from the commitment of Vietnam team at CMM, we trying to keep the sensor for 1 year more, and let's see if we can use that sensor for another research activity. Yeah, but it have been 3 years already, and I really don't know the stable of the sensor for the long time. But if we can use it in somehow, we will keep it. And we thank you very much for the project, for RTI having support us on the low-cost sensor deployment in Vietnam. It's only the first initiative activity, but it will pick the significant milestone that we can work together in the coming time.
Thank you, Hung. And it sounds like there may be some offline conversations amongst folks, how to keep some of these sensors up and running for the long term. I don't know if there's purple air data or dust boy data showing, how baseline might drift over time compared to a reference, but at some point, if you ever do have another big effort in Vietnam, it would probably be good to try to co-locate them with a reference prior to deploying them. But happy to discuss that more with you when that comes up.
Yes, thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Hung right now? Nope. Okay. Let's ready for the next Vietnam presentation. Hong, are you ready? Great.
Yeah, I will share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yep.
Yes. Hello everyone. Thank you, Dr. Ryan, Dr. Hum, give me a chance to present my study result. So I'm Dr. Hong Lee from University of Queensland. I'm original nation from Vietnam, and also I'm work as a consultant for University of Medical and Pharmacy in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. So today I will present our research, and the title is using low-cost sensor sorry, I just tried to hide the screen. Okay, using low-cost sensor to measure individual air pollution exposure. And our project name is Avoid traffic-related air pollution, and we use a multi-sector collaboration between health, education, and environment to minimize the impact of traffic-related air pollution on children in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. And our project funded by United States Agency International Development, USAID, under Laser Pool Program. And we collaborate with Department of Education Training, Department of Health, and for school in Ho Chi Minh City. We have support also from TNL a car company in Vietnam. This is a startup about local sensor device. We also have the participant over 1,000 children and their parents. And our research team member include a researcher from University of Medicine and Pharmacy in Ho Chi Minh City, and also University of Queensland, Australia. And as you know, air pollution is a global concern, and in which PM2.5 is one of the most important pollution affect our human health. And according to World Air Quality Report in 2022, Vietnam ranked the third among the most polluted countries in Southeast Asia, with an average annual PM2.5 concentration exceeding 5.4 times the desired limit in the new guideline of WHO in 2021. And in our study, we can find that when the children is a vulnerable population to the air pollution. So the children spend over 30% of their time at school and during the time to go to school, and they exposed to air pollution, traffic-related air pollution from human activity, from the dust, road, vehicle emission, construction, industrial emission. And when the children are exposed to air pollutant, they can give some possible mechanism, for example, skin barrier dysfunction, oxidative damage, or inflammatory dysfunction. And this health mechanism can cause the respiratory symptom, for example, wheezing, rhinitis, cough, itchy eyes, etc. Or also respiratory disease, for example, asthma, allergic rhinitis, asthma, acute respiratory infection. So in our study, we want to answer two questions. The first one, what is the current data on the air quality at school by PM2.5 concentration? And the second question, we want to answer what is the respiratory health problem in the population of school children and its difference by social demographic and school-related condition. So this the next part is our methodology. We have 4 schools participate in our study. 2 schools in residential residential zone we call Bintang district, and we have 2 schools from Bình Chánh district. This school close to big road and industrial zone. So we conduct the study from August to December. We followed the data from August to the December. During that, we conduct the survey about respiratory symptom. We do the student from 4 school rate from 4 to 7, and about the sample size totally 1,000 school children in 4 schools. So during our study, we also conduct many respiratory health examination, lung function, and urine test. But we don't have time today, so I will not present many health data today. Regarding to how measure air pollution, we also measure outdoor and indoor environment and also individual exposure with air pollution. For outdoor and indoor environment, you can see on the picture we use 4 palm air monitor. We put on outside the school and located from 3.4 to 4 meter above the ground level in each school. And in class, we have 12 palm air monitor inside classes, and we measure PM 2.5, and it will give us the PM 2.5 means every hour. Individual exposure. Regarding to individual exposure, we also use the combination of APM3 from Habitat Company and MicroPen from RTI Company to measure personal air pollution exposure. So the child you can see on the picture, they will wear the device in front of their bodies. And we have 12 microperm children and 64 APM children have a data. And for 13 children who wore the ABM3 and micropen at the same time, and we put on the small bag, and they wait 48 hours. And this is our result. The figure 1 shows the distribution of daily 24-hour mean PM 2.5 concentration. And we can see the significant difference between two groups. The school from the school close to big road and industrial zone, and the school in residential zone. And we can see in the right season, the PM 2.5 higher than the rainy season, and 24-hour average mean PM 2.5 mean is over 61 in school close to the big road and industrial zone. For the school in residential zone, the PM 2.5 mean around 34.0. And we can see in the graph, the elevated level of PM 2.5 are seen in November and December in the right season. But the pattern are similar in fall school. And next, the figure 2 show the distribution of our PM 2.5 concentration over 24 hours. And we can see the PM 2.5 high during the night time in the school close to big road and industrial zone, but less than in area in school in a residential zone. And we can see the during from about 4 p.m. the PM2.5 tend to increase until night time. So that is the time where the children go back home. They go back home, travel to the school, travel to home, or travel, and they usually go with their parent, or they have some extra class after the official school day. So that's why they still outside for some activity, and PM2.5 still high. And the figure 3 will show the correlation between PM2.5 concentration recorded by APIM3 and micropam unit. We have, as I told you, we have 13 children where the same APIM and ABIM and micropam, and we have a 13 pair unit. The RAP-A will show us the PM2.5 concentration recorded by micropam less than 600 microgram from cubic meter. And the B graph, we will show you the PM2.5 concentration recorded by micropam and ABIM3 less than 200 microgram per cubic meter. And we can see the data are quite interesting when we use the Spearman correlation test, and we found the PM2.5 concentration monitored by ABIM and micropam show a significant strong correlation with R equal to 0.74. And the figure 4 shows us the PM2.5 concentration with down limit 100 microgram per cubic meter exposure by 30 minutes of the day for all combined personal sample. So we have total over around 70 children where the ABIM, and this is the data from ABIM3. You can see the PM2.5 concentration among students vary significantly within 24 hours, and so regular change over the time. And the next figure figure 5, it shows the mean PM2.5 concentrations with standard error by microenvironment or activity for all combined personal sample. So in our study, we have their diary collection. So children have to report their activity each 30 minutes and in 48 hours. And this is the figure 5 show us the each activity and the PM2.5 concentration for each activity. And we can see the highest here is secondhand smoking, burning incense, secondhand smoking, cooking at home, and most at the top 3 is from indoor air pollution. Is it right? So we can say average particulate concentration were highest, while the participants were experienced on burning incense, followed by secondhand smoke and cooking smoke. And the next figure, we show you the wheezing or rhinitis in the last 12 months. And the first is from the school close to big road and industrial, and the second from the school in residential zone. We found some difference between two school groups. However, there is no evidence between two groups. And we also, and the next result, it shows you the reference of wheezing and rhinitis. These are some key respiratory symptoms in the last 12 months by school related to related condition. And here we can say the significant, we can see the significant difference between the children spend less than 15 minutes on the road or over 15 minutes on the road. So that means the children who spend over 15 minutes in the road every school day, they will have more prevalent, have a higher prevalence of wheezing symptom. So that is our conclusion. We have the first one. We can see the concentration of PM2.5 at school in residential area. It's about the means is 31, and at school close into big road with an industrial area with the means is 61.2 micro per cubic meter. So on exceed the WHO standard. The second conclusion, we can find the prevalence of respiratory symptom was higher than reported in early study in the last decade. But the prevalence of respiratory symptoms were not significantly different between two school groups. And the PM2.5 concentration among students very significantly within 24 hours and reach high when the participant exposed indoor air pollution. For example, you can see in our study incense, from it burning incense, secondhand smoke and cooking smoke. And the prevalence of wheezing was higher among school children spent over 15 minutes in road travels from school. So from our study, we found that the children not just exposure to traffic air pollution, but also have a high risk of indoor air pollution. Okay, so that is all my presentation. Thank you for your listening. If you have any question, feel free to ask me now.
Thank you very much. Similar to what Matthew said earlier, I could talk for hours on personal exposure. I think we've worked together on projects. Do you have any issues with recall bias for the time activity diaries, particularly with the children? I know that is often a concern, especially when there's no co-located GPS data to actually track where they are. Was that an issue in your study?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for your question, Mark. That's a good idea. I think that's one function from micropam RTI. I'm not sure 100%, but Ryan can tell more about that. But we didn't do that. The reason is because the ethic. So when we conduct a study in Vietnamese children, we have to pass many steps of ethic process. So we cannot do if we do the GPS. Anyway, I think we didn't do that, but micropam, I think it can do it. Yeah.
Yes. IRB approval for working with children is always tedious for sure. We recently did a study similar to this with asthmatic children in the United States, and we found that their ultrafine particle exposure, so particles less than 100 nanometers in diameter, is elevated during transit time, so when they're traveling in a vehicle. So I'm not surprised that you had more instances of wheezing in that case. Different kinds of particulate matter likely have different kinds of amount of toxicity associated with them, with emissions from vehicles being high in metals and cause a lot more oxidative stress and lead to wheezing and inflammation. Also, in the comparison between the micropem and the AirBeam 3, just so everyone knows, I designed the micropem in the children's version, so I'm intimately familiar with it and how it works. It applies a relative humidity correction factor in real time, and I don't think the AirBeam 3 does. So I'm wondering if some of the deviations could actually be minimized if you account for the relative humidity across the measurements. just, you have a strong correlation anyways. I'm just wondering how that would change if you account for humidity. Something to look at. No real question there.
Yep. Yeah, that's yeah, this is just a initial analysis from our team. As you can see in my presentation, we also have a urine test and lung function test data, lung function data. So we will try to combine many different data together to answer the question. Yeah, but we haven't finished data analysis, but that's a good recommendation. I will take note and aware of that. Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. Lots of good data. Hung, you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yes, Dr.
Yeah,
Hung?
yes, I'm here. Yeah, it's not a core question. It's a comment. Yeah. So thank you very much, Dr. Hung Le. Yeah, your presentation just make my presentation is more clear. I'm sorry that in the abundant time I don't have many time to prepare and talk. But obviously that everything that need to be applied is a low cost sensor in the developing country. And yeah, for the children, I think it's very crucial and it's applicable. I'm now working for World Vision, that's an organization working for the children, the next generation. So Ryan, I'm thinking that we can create something new with the US that can support it, and Hong Lei can lead on that. I will be the follower. So on the sensor, we can relocate it after the project finishes, and Hong Lei, you can decide it on that and discuss with Ryan in RTI. So how we can handle the situation and we can best use. But my curious question is how long it can be used, because it have been used in 3 years, and can we use it for the next 3 years, for example?
I think that's unknown at this point, Hung. The folks at Purple Air may have more information on how the optics soil over time, but I think if you co-locate the low-cost sensors with a reference device or even a research grade device, confirm that they're working correctly, then it should be okay to use them. And we can talk offline, but no, I agree. There's lots of space for collaboration, and if the study's health focused, NIH or something similar may be a better target. But
yes, I would love to do that, and with a new affiliation, I still keep in touch with the university for the academic advisor as a free yeah, that I do it for love, for the dreaming of graduate student for overseas study, and I willing to discuss, and let's see if we can find some interesting to do together. Last month I also have a meeting with the U.S. Embassy in Hanoi, and I saw that they develop a portfolio of the investment in the coming time. I'm not yet keep updated with the colleague out there, but I think that we have a good chance for the not only Vietnam but for Southeast Asia also. So I hope that after this meeting, Ryan still keep in touch with us and leading the team go together. And I'm really looking forward to meeting Chiang Mai, because we have a date on that, but we're not able to make it.
yes, we'll certainly keep in touch. Matthew, you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to come in briefly on this and really praise this work. I think this does a great job of advancing the science on a number of really policy relevant issues. And I'm really excited to know more about it, including, I don't know if it's suitable for this call, but I'd love to have a conversation about replicating this work in other cities and what that would look like from a budgetary and process perspective. I think this has really triangulated why it's so important to have more insight into the household exposure and personal exposure dimensions of air pollution and public health. So just bravo to all involved, and hope to take this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Ryan and Dr. Hong. I just have a last comment. Not just only this project, but we also have another project, and we also measure the traffic air pollution exposure and no traffic exposure during the COVID-19, and we found that the children have have a high risk of indoor air pollution. So I think low-cost sensor device really have to measure the individual exposure. So we can think about that. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
I'm happy to collaborate. My email here I would in the group chat.
Yeah,
Very
we know
happy.
how to find each other. No worry. Yeah. In World Vision, we also develop a portfolio for the urban area, and also because we focus on the children. So I think that we will keep in touch and discuss further.
Yeah.
Yep,
Thank you.
sounds good. And without personal level measurements, it's sometimes difficult to get at some of the mechanisms of what's causing the health effects. It's more difficult on a population level. So yeah, a big advocate for those direct personal measurements. Although they are costly and logistically complicated, they can provide very high quality data. So, all right, Kyo, you're our last presentation. Do you want to, are you prepared?
Yes, thank you, Ryan. Yes, I would like to share my screen. Can you see my screen? I mean, my slide.
Yep, I can see.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ryan and everyone. My name is Gail Puson Ponhala. I'm working at the Faculty of Engineering, Department of Environmental Engineering. And I'm the one, as the Ryan was mentioned before, I'm the one of the team and as the NetNoon team. Actually, we are many people that include in the team, but this paper that I would like to show for this workshop is we work together. There are 3 advisors, and this topic, the student were the one that done this topic under our project. So this one, the topic is evaluation of PM 2.5 at 9 village in Vientiane capital, Laos PDR. This one, so this one is the content that I would like to talk about. So first one, introduction, methodology, the result of PM 2.5, quality evaluation, and conclusion. And the first one about the introduction, actually Laos, Vietnam, we have the same situation, especially Laos and Thailand at the northern part of Laos. Actually, we got this situation in long time as the activity of the agriculture. One thing is they do slash and burn at the northern part. In Laos, not just only in the northern part, it's from northern part until southern part, especially on high hill or mountain, on the mountain that they do slash and burn. And some activity that can produce more pollution in Laos is one is now is transportation. In Laos, one house they will have, especially in Vientiane, they will have about 2 or 3 cars in one house. So this one that everyone go out and then produce the pollution. Actually, the government, they have the law for controlling the release the emission or control the emission relation. So this one, the technical, they always try to fix the car to make the car got problem, but still some truck or some car that they still produce the pollution in the air. And the other side, you can see the picture on the right side. At the top, you can see that landfill is not sanitation landfill, and it's just landfill that they dump the waste. And at the dump the waste, one way to put reduce of the waste, they burn the waste. Some place, and some also that we not yet got the information, they also burn also because they want to reduce the waste at the land. So they dump. So they dump and then they burn. So that's why that some source can be from the landfill that is not sanitation landfill in Laos. So this is the problem in Laos now, that And the other one also we they are now the industry were increasing, so many the economic zone in Laos, especially in Vientiane capital, there are many economic zone. So this one can produce the air quality emission outside. So this one can produce more the air quality problem. Before this topic, in last year, actually, we done about the research this before this topic in 2002. At that time that we could install only 4 points. So that time we monitoring at the online data for 4 points. And after that, we focus on this location is Vientiane capital as this topic. Actually in Vientiane capital, there are 9 districts. But we study only 4 districts because the installation at that time was not full. So we study only 4 districts for Vientiane capital at that time. So for the first one, we study at the Sikotabong district. There are 2 points for sensor installation. The sensor installation is Popo Air, is as the Han presented before that we use Popo Air is the low cost. And thank you this project that help us to monitoring the air quality for this. Otherwise, we could not get this information to promote that how the air quality in Laos now. The second district is Satanak. There are 2 points also in this, and the other one in Hasaifong district is nearby Thailand. This one is only 1 sensor. The other one is Saiseta. Saiseta is this one is nearby the Saiseta economic zone, Non Hong economic zone also. This one so it means that they can produce from the industry sector. And the other Jantaburi is nearby Saiseta and is the big one, the big area that near. So and there are many people in there in this district. So we choose 2 points. 1 point is nearby very density house, and there are many schools and there are many office around there. And the other one is nearby the Saiseta, so it means nearby the economic zone. So this work, our work, we work at the 5 periods. The first time we work from 9 January to 13 January is for 5 days, and the second time from 6 February to 10 February, and the third time we work from 13 to 17 March. Third time is from 3rd to 7 April, and the fifth we work from 1st to 5 May in 2023. And every work we work is for each month we work for three days. We record the data, we collect the data from the website. So when we collect the data that detect the air quality of PM from 7 to 6 PM in evening. Why we choose this time? Because during this time, in early morning, they use the transportation from 7 until 9. And after that, they stay at the office and they went out for lunch about 11 to 12:30. And after that, in the evening, in Laos, they stop working around 3:30 to 4. And if the government office, because will be traffic jam. So they went out from the office since 3:30 until 4. They start already, but some the private sector or private company, they start at 5. Start at 5 and stop at 6 around that. So it's that we choose this situation. And the equipment as this, we use that under the project of AQI, our project. This one is Popo Air. We choose that and for installation. This one is that the stick of the, and this one is the step of installation. So in this, after we install and then we collect the data, this one we collect online data for 12 hours. So we collect, as I said before, the period of the work, and we collect 2 data. Actually, we collect 2 data. Is raw PM 2.5 and PM 2.5 AQI that we have two. But today I would like to show you the data of raw PM 2.5 of this area. This one that we collect the data. So this one is the result of 9 village. So this one is the first village is Kang Payang. Kang Payang, this one is nearby Thailand. Actually, this one is nearby Mekong River and nearby Thailand is far from the rural area. So this one you can see the result is really low from the lower than the standard. We use this analysis. We use the standard of Laos. So National Environment Law Standard 2017. So this one is lower than standard because it's very far from the transportation or far from the road and is far from the household. So we choose this one to be one example. So we can see that it's lower than the standard. And the second one is Sangway Village. This one is my house. This one is my house is nearby many schools and nearby temple, nearby main road, and nearby market. Is far from market about 500 meters and far from my faculty about 2 kilometers. So I choose this one to be one example in the district. So we can found that it was higher than standard since January until May, but the May was lower because last year the rain was start in May, early of the May. So it means that this one can be reduced of the PM 2.5 in the air. But the other higher, it was in April. You can see it was in April. The air quality or the temperature in Laos last year in April is about 40 to 44 degrees. So this one can impact to this PM 2.5 was increased. But the other, for the other one is Wat Nak Village is our faculty is this office. This one, why we choose this one? Because it's nearby EDL company, nearby Ketisak school, nearby to temple, and nearby other technique school, and nearby the Wat Nak village. So we choose this location. And the same situation, but different in February. So this one in the February is not different much with much. But in April, it was high because this quite near with my house, about 2 kilometers. So at that time, many transportation, they use this road nearby our office. So there are many transportation and the temple and the people transport to many schools. So it was high and no rain yet in the May. So it was the rain start. So the PM 2.5 was reduced. In Phon Saat village, this one in Sai Setha. Sai Setha is nearby That Luang Temple. You may hear this name, That Luang Temple, that's really famous in Laos. And it's nearby many government office. It's nearby Patu Sai. Many office is nearby here. So many people that they transport around there, and many traffic jam in this area. It's the same in April. It was high and it was 100, but in May also was reduced. The same situation with other place. In Nong Bon, also nearby Phon Saat. This one is nearby Thailand Embassy, Indonesia Embassy, nearby Patu Sai, and nearby Vientiane College also. So it was really very traffic jam around here, especially about 5 to 6 p.m. They use car that transport to bring their children to study in Vientiane College in this area. So it was, and so we found that so in April was higher than 180. As I mentioned before, that there are many transportation around there. In this Nong Bon, there are no factory. There are no factory in Nong Bon, Phon Saat also no factory. But at my village, just some factory only, but it's not big factory. In Nong Duong is in Sikotabong. Sikotabong, this one, this area, there are many factory and there are many economic, but it's not economic zone. It's just economic shop that they sell, and there are many Chinese people stay in there, and many hotel, many restaurant in this area around there, So there are that we found that even it's not big factory, but we found that in April it was higher than 140. So this one, the situation. This is Hoi Hong. Hoi Hong is nearby main campus of our National University of Laos. Or the main campus is located at Dong Do. This one is very near with Dong Do. It's about 3 or 4 kilometers. And in this area, very density because there are many what we call dormitory that or apartment for students that they rent the room. They rent the room for study in Dong Do campus. And many shop, many restaurant, many phone shop, and many that we call the bar around, not the bar near Dong Do, but the bar at Hoi Hong. That there are many bar or many restaurant that they drink, and so that's why around 6 p.m. that they will start to transport or travel to the bar or travel to the restaurant around the ring. So that we can find in April is one high, so it's about nearly 200 microgram per megapip. Yeah. In Pak Thang is nearby the south Northern Park bus station, and is nearby airport also, and it's nearby many house around there. And the main company of the private sector that they are located in there. So we can find that it was higher than 200 in April. So it was this area, so situation. Tat Thong is located at the water resource faculty. We asked to install in there. That is nearby. It's nearby Pak Thang, but it's far from Pak Thang about 5 to 6 kilometers. This one is nearby the car showroom or car showroom that they sell the car around there. Many showroom car in there that's located along the 13 North Road. That the 13 North Road they transport to the north. So there are many people, and they use the highway road also. That the highway also nearby the Tat Thong village also. So that many transportation. About the factory, there are not many factory around there. But the activity of the shop, activity of motorbike shop, activity of the what we call EV bicycle also that just located in there now. So that the many people tour or visit in that area. So it's worth higher than 118. So this one is the result of the data that I showed you before. So only Gang Payang was lower than standard, but the other place that people travel, transport, and the factory nearby them, so it will produce the air pollution or especially PM 2.5 value as were higher than standard. So this is the conclusion. So the highest PM 2.5 according to our study was higher at the RAPNAC or at our faculty because it's nearby many people, and they transport to here by motorbike and car. So and the surrounding also they transport to the EDL office, they transport to the school, they transport to temple. So this were higher than the other place. And for Gang Payang is what the lower one. And for Sang Voi, Wat Nak, Phon Saat, Non Thong, Nong Duong, they This one that nearby the many shops, school, and so the using electronic application that nearby area. So this at the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention and thank you for your question, comment. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Keo. I'm surprised any of the villages were below the standards at this time of year, just based on the amount of smoke that we've seen in all of the Southeast Asia area. How much in the other villages, how much of the PM do you think is due to the smoke during hay season versus some of the more local sources? Is that something you've looked into? 'Cause it's hard to differentiate them with the low cost sensors. What do you feel is the input from the smoke versus local sources like traffic or restaurants?
I think this the situation of the smoke in this area, there are many smoke as you see at the picture as I saw, and at the end where you can see this picture. There are many. Actually, I was not prepared for it. Actually, I was in Wang Vieng. I saw the situation the same as this picture also in Wang Vieng and the other place also. It means the situation now of the smoke is very high in this season before raining coming in May. So and the situation of air pollution, actually it was start since January until April. Since last year as well, the same situation. The smoke was very high during this time, and started raining in May, June, and it will start again in October or November, because it's dry season. And that actually in October, November, and December is not really high, but start in January. And the source of this smoke in Wang Vieng, I found that it's from burning slash and burn. But in Vientiane, it's not the source much from slash and burn. Slash and burn, they active in Sang Thong district. Sang Thong district is nearby the way to Mueang Nan, Thailand. That's one. So they do this activity to make clear the land for agriculture before the rain coming. But for Vientiane, the smoke there come from transportation and the electric. I mean the building they use electric, some transport heat it come out, and the other one is from the factory that they produce some air pollution that outside that. Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah. So so this the low cost purple air can help us much. In the previous time, Laos, actually the government they have the equipment for monitoring, but it's difficult that we can use this with them. They will in monitoring by themselves. The National University of Laos cannot use that well. So we thank you for this project also that help us to monitoring this, and we can give this information to the government in the future. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Yep.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Cal, for your presentation. So I just would like to mention, but you said it before, that did you also co-located your local sensor with the government air quality monitoring station or not? Because at first we need to see whether our sensor PM2.5 concentrations are related well with the air quality monitoring station, belong to the government or not. The second point is that it will be more clear if you can plot the graph using the maybe daily concentration, so we can see the fluctuation between days in each location. So it will provide us more detail on that, because I think we have like second or hourly data. So it will be better if you can plot in detail. So maybe your students can do that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajahn Somporn. Yes, Yes, I agree. I do agree that I have to compare with the government censor. I ever contact to the government, we have to make clear on that. And as now they try to collect the data and they want to promote or they want to inform their data first before they give us that information. We also want that to compare this data, that we make sure that that's why our paper not yet public, because we would like to compare with the government data at that one. And the other one that you mentioned, that we have to make the map of concentration. Yes, we will do that in the future, that for the next lecture for new students. Yes, thank you.
And I think it's also good to point out that unlike some of the other areas where we deployed the purple airs, we needed to purchase internet like cards or programs for some of the locations in Laos, just because there's no Wi-Fi available. So that's going to be an ongoing issue in some of the more rural areas, I think, in Southeast Asia. If somebody's going to deploy more sensors, is how do you connect them to the internet so they upload the data to the various platforms. And then what do you do when that internet goes down? Because I believe, some of the deployments took multiple days of travel, correct, Ko, to get somebody out there to deploy the sensor and then come back took days, as opposed to, a quick deployment like we're used to sometimes in other projects.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. Yes, as I work and I ever report at Laos, that is difficult. One thing is the Wi-Fi, as you mentioned, that we have to choose the location at the point that they have Wi-Fi. And the other one is the government, the local government, we have to inform them. Order to inform them, they want us to install at the location that they have the Wi-Fi, especially at the mental office. So we install at the local government office, so that they can monitoring with us, especially in Phongsali, Luang Prabang, Hua Phan, and Sekong, also that they want to monitor with us. So we choose that they have the Wi-Fi. It means that the area that extend outside of that, they don't have much Wi-Fi. Even nearby the border with Vietnam, also they don't have much, and they don't allow us to choose that. That was really challenge for us at that time. Yes, thank you. Chào Ajahn.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Yep, I see a hand up.
Hi, my name is Sujit from Suranare University, Thailand. I just have a question. Why didn't you measure or use 24 hours concentration average? I think you use 12 hours, right? And when you compare the 12-hour average with 24-hour standard, it's not exactly comparable. I mean, you're using the high concentration period with the average, which I mean the standard, which intend to represent 24 hours.
Yes, thank you for question. Yes, at that time it was the initial study. At that time we discussed at our department, we just actually we want 24 hours, but the capacity of the people that work at that time cannot work well, and the Wi-Fi also is not well at any point. So we choose for 12 hours in order to collect, because some point they shut down the Wi-Fi. I mean, they plug out purple air for us. So that's why the data we choose really difficult to get. They plug out the proper air, plug the Wi-Fi. I mean, even the Wi-Fi, not Wi-Fi, they plug out the proper air. So we have to communicate with them not to plug out, but some they also follow, but some not follow. So we choose the daytime that they plug the proper air so we choose that 12. But in the future, we also make plan that we want to do on the 24 hours. So we have we make plan to communicate with the owner of the house to let us to do that. Because as you see on the map, some point they plug out. Even we try to communicate with them, but they plug out. So we could not get the data at the real time at the same time. We plan also. Thank you that we will do in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I understand your limitations, but just to give you to be aware of when you make comparison, it's like the situation is worse than actual situation, right? I mean, if you include the nighttime concentration in the average, your graphs will be lower, right? It's not going to be like 200 or something, I guess. So that's one thing I think is important.
Yes, thank you. I will do that in the future. Yes.
Do we have any other questions at this point? So now we're on the agenda, we're scheduled for a discussion. I think, Matt, in the interest of time, do you want to, or Matthew, do you want to go over some of your questions? I think you had these at the end of your slides, at least the version I looked at. The machine learning one, I think would be a good conversation starter, and actually thinking about being able to differentiate sources. The purple air does output data in different size bins, not necessarily on their website, but if you use an SD card version, in which case you may be able to differentiate traffic pollution from, say, smoke that's been traveling for multiple days. I'm guessing a machine learning approach would be needed for that. But I think I think you're thinking on a larger level, correct? Do you want to start the discussion off with machine learning and what you were hoping to get out of the discussion here within the group?
Sure. No, actually, happy to go in whatever direction is most suitable. I think there's been a very enriching discussion with lots of follow-ups, so no particular need to have my slide frame things. I mean, that being said, I would sort of summarize that I think machine learning is very helpful for determining sectoral level emissions inventories, but not necessarily specific points. For example, what percentage of the air pollution is because of industrial emissions rather than what specific factory is emitting. There are just some limitations to how finely grained of an inference can be made through those purposes. Yeah, I think in country, you know, there's a certain tipping point on the low cost sensors where that's something to invest in, this sort of going broad versus going deep kind of approach. Yeah, in my view, I think some of the work that Dr. Somporn has done around chemical analysis of PM2.5 to infer the scale of transboundary contribution, particularly around potassium ions with biomass burning, seems to me to be a really good idea to build on. So, you know, that I think would be an example of where use of money to go deep would be valuable. And then the use of the wearable sensors to drill into more of the household exposure sensors seems like a really good vector as well. So that would be kind of my overarching contextualization of where machine learning can be helpful. And on that basis, what are some priorities to consider for allocating resources on the science-based policy. So any feedback that the group might have on those principles would certainly be very welcomed. And looking forward to following up with a number of you individually on taking your work forward. Thanks very much.
And have you typically worked with local data scientists, or do you have resources available to, say, universities in Southeast Asia that they could tap into externally, and data scientists based elsewhere?
That's a good question with a bit of a complicated answer, because our lead data scientist was actually a quite brilliant Thai woman who was living in California. So she was doing a Thai national doing research on Thai data from the other side of the planet. And that was very, very effective. You know, that being said, I do also, you know, acknowledge that I think there certainly is the level of human capacity amongst the countries represented in this room to be doing that scale of data science locally. In my view, it's not the skills of the researchers, it's more the availability of the data, the availability of resources to support that data science, and the capacity of the decision-making institutions, usually government, to take those works forward. But I would certainly be very interested to hear from the researchers themselves on whether or not they agree with my opinion about what it's like to be a researcher in Southeast Asia. That's my perspective.
Any comments from anyone on the team?
Yeah, I would like to add up to what Matthew mentioned about the situation of research in South Asia, particularly in Thailand. Okay. So I myself find it's quite difficult now to ask for the budget from the government to go in detail in the deeper science, particularly in the air pollution side. So they are looking more on the application of the research. So it means your research has to be ready to be used in the real world. So it's not just, they don't want just to spend money on the research in the lab. So it means it's quite difficult for us also to take care of both sides. So we have to go deep in science, and we also have to sell our research to be applied or to be used in the real world, things like that.
Thank you. And I just have one more discussion question, then I think I'm going to sign off, and I'll let you all continue the discussion if you think that's useful. Just my questions around the role of education in, you know, promoting better air quality in Southeast Asia. There's a push from a lot of places in the US to start educating people on air quality and even how to measure air quality at younger ages, sometimes all the way down to primary school. Deploy sensors in the classroom. Children can look at how the air quality changes based on what they're doing, or, you know, if you're looking at VOCs, what you release into the air. Is air quality and some of the health effects, is that typically taught at any stage in Southeast Asia that you're aware of within schools? So starting to teach kids early about the hazards of air pollution and what they can do to mitigate some of those on a personal level. Or is that something that is rarely brought up or taught at young ages outside of, say, you know, university or academic settings for much older folks? Excuse me.
Yes, I agree. Yes, we should start at the primary school or even younger for children to learn about the air quality and how important do we have to improve our air for the next generation. So in Thailand, for example, we have various kind of projects working with the school children to teach them how to protect themselves and learn how to read the data. For example, the concentration of PM 2.5 was translated to color, like what we used to, with the AQI, and then they learn what the meaning of that and how do they act when we have the critical level of air pollution, things like that. So I think it's very important to educate them at a young age.
Yeah, it seems like until there's large scale interventions that really help reduce exposures, that some behavioral change or exposure mitigation on the personal level may be useful to reduce lifetime exposures or chronic exposures, especially when levels are so high in certain months. Focus could be made on that time period. What can people start doing at a younger age to just reduce their lifetime exposure or lifetime dose to particulate matter? Something to think about. But on that note, I'm going to sign off. I'll let the AQSEA team continue the discussion, and then I'll just take a look at the recording tomorrow when I have some time. But thank you everybody so much for joining and participating. AQSEA team have been fantastic throughout this whole process, and I will be in touch offline with a number of you in the coming week. So thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ryan.
Okay. So shall we continue, or do you have any points to?
Some part.
Yes.
Yeah, the idea here that we have 5X as and I think that we should keep it as in general. And I lean on the background and the advanced condition in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So we can be the follower in the next thing, but I saw that right now, each challenge is to find the funding, but if we can have the regional impact, we can have the fun. So we should keep in touch in somehow. I'm still keep the academic advisor position at the university, and there are a lot of academic human resources out there that can support. And I will link to keep in touch with you and RTI. And Hồng and I in Vietnam also discussed that we can use a low-cost sensor system for some studies. And it would be nice if we can focus on the next generation, the children at the school. And for school, it's much easier than we do the research on the modeling and the data monitoring, data treatment and things. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. The next step is that how we can maintain our low-cost sensors to work for us in the long term. So for the maintenance issue, we need some budget to do that. And today we have Dr. Seth with us. Also, his team can supporting our team in the future in terms of maintenance, but not in terms of the budget, maybe some of knowledge or sharing or things like that.
Yeah, we personnel can keep the system in 1 year more, and let's see after. But at least we can keep the system up to the end of this year.
Okay. Yeah. How about in Laos? Do you think the maintenance issue will be a problem?
Yes, the maintenance will be the problem as now as I mentioned, because some point we try to contact, but they don't reply or get my call. So it's the situation of one. And last year also we got one problem at the point at Hua Pan also, that they got problem with the equipment. But when they transport to us, and then I check the point, there is no problem. I change back, so that was work again. So I think It can be, and the other one is the internet also, that they need more to get. Actually RTI also give us this budget already, but if we extend more work, I think that need more budget for that work. Yeah. Yes.
Are there any opinion or comments from the others? Actually, I'm very interesting to, I like to cooperate with our team to maybe collect more samples, not just only measure the concentrations, but sampling the real samples for further analysis in the lab. And we can get like maybe ask for more budget later. I will figure it out and let you know about that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, one thing more that we did mention before about the publication of the data, what we have been doing so far, the publication. Because we need to positioning our activity, and they know that we have the system and we have the data, and we couldn't make it in the last year, but if some other can interact, we can have some.
To discuss with Ryan, because it's
It's
difficult
authorized,
to
yeah.
download, to
Yeah.
download the data from the purple air now. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other idea or comments?
And Ajahn, I also after this we will have other student work, and we would like to, how to say, to back up the data in previous time. So if there is any people that from university that can help us to upload the data in previous time. I mean, yeah.
Upload or download? You mean download, right?
Download data, not upload. Download data. Yes, in previous time.
I think we can consult with Ryan. And
okay.
Ajahn said, do you have any idea on this? If we like to download some previous data from the sensors.
Actually, we can access to the website of the air, and we might download the previous data from the system. I think my team have already done the download before. Maybe we can share with you the instruction how to download the data.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
That
you.
is good. Yeah. So we can contact by email later. Yeah.
Yes.
Dr. Haisam normally take charge on that. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments before we finish for the workshop today? Okay. No more?
Yeah, we just keep in touch now and forever. I mean.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining, and I think this today workshop is very useful for all of us and help us understand each other more and learn a lot. Yeah. Thank you everyone again, and see you again next time. Thank you, Matthew, for the clapping and joining. Yeah.
Thank you again for support and the Thai team that leading the project very well. We will keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, and goodbye for today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.